a new way of running the world. This has been a hot topic for years, but a lot of people still don't pay attention to it or don't care about it because they think it will never happen since they've been warned about it for so long. But this is a lot like the dollar losing its place as the world's reserve currency. A lot of people also think that's not possible. Things like this do happen over time. There is less and less dominance around the US dollar. For more than 10 years, you have been able to look back to 2008 or even before that. The process of making this happen has been very slow, but it's certainly coming together. I have a lot to say about this new world order besides that though. To be more specific, I want to talk about a lot of data from the BIS and the IMF, as well as the taxes and the trade war. Take it easy, and welcome to the channel. Everyone, my name is Nick. People who are new to the station should follow this link to watch more videos like this one. This video is going to be a little longer. Actually, I'm sorry ahead of time, but there is a lot of information I want to draw attention to. The first thing we should do is look at Japan and China. As this post from Gold Telegraph says, all of a sudden the world is finally waking up to the fact that Japan and China hold the most US treasuries. Yes, we've always seen Japan as a big bank that buys US debt. When we think about what's going on, we already know that China has said they will fight this trade war until it ends. Just last week, people from China and Japan's central banks got together to talk about taxes. Open your eyes. Now what's interesting about this is what would happen if Japan and China started to move against the US and sell US treasuries. It would get people in the US to move forward with stable coin projects, giving issuers of US dollars denominated stable coins a reason to buy and keep US dollars. This is where I think about the idea of a problem, a reaction and an answer. We know for sure that we're going toward a digital plan. That shouldn't need to be said to you guys. And if we want to know what speeds things up the most, it's stable coins. Many people don't seem to notice that stable coins are becoming such an important part of the banking system. But this is the right time and place for the US to speed up and move forward with stable coins. This is already happening with new laws and the widespread acceptance of stable coins that are denominated in USD. What else, besides this, will really make China decide to possibly sell their US treasuries? We already know that China stopped sending rare earths to the US because of the trade war. You've had this happen to you in the last 24 hours. That was a big move. But this is in reaction to the US's decision to cancel its tariffs. They asked the US to do so and got a response from Trump saying that there would be no tariff exceptions for China. His answer was mostly about China, which is why China stopped sending rare earths to the US. What about the banks though? That's the important question. There have been a lot of trade deals made besides China, that much we know. There are talks going on between the US and 130 other countries about possible deals. We now know that Japan is involved. Japan's economy is one of the few big ones that is already being talked about. One more is India and one is Korea. But we are paying attention to what China does next when it comes to them. We focus on China because besides Japan, it is the only other country that holds more US bonds than any other country. Is all of this just noise, though? We also know that Trump had tax plans and talks during his first term. Is this all just noise? And could we forget about everything that's going on with taxes and the trade war? I don't believe we should. I believe that this is increasing the pushback on the US dollar, so I think we should pay attention to it. I think this is also speeding up the move toward a multipolar banking system. We've been told this for years. No, it's not just from certain names. It comes from global groups. But first let's talk about Ray Dalio. Because we have important news. There is a chance that the world's money system will collapse according to Ray Dalio, the founder of Bridgewater. We are moving from multilateralism, which is mostly an American idea of the world order, to a one-power world order that is very contentious. I believe we are entering a completely different world when it comes to the banking system. To say it again, the world is multipolar. In this video, however, Ray Dalio says that he's more afraid about something worse than a recession. There is something much more important we have. There is a breakdown of the money order. I agree with this too. There's going to be a new world order, I think. A lot of people aren't paying any attention to this, but we already know that paper currency is beginning to fall apart. There are cracks in paper currency that show us the truth. It's all just a big scam with no real value. But look at this. I think we need to make a choice right now, because we are very close to a recession. And if this isn't handled well, I'm afraid of something worse than a slowdown. A recession is when GDP goes down for 2 quarters in a row, even if it only goes down a little. These things happen all the time. There is something much more serious going on. The monetary order is breaking down. We are going to change the monetary order, because we can't spend the amounts of money that we have, which is a problem. When we talk about the dollar and tariffs, we have that problem as well. We are having profound changes in our domestic order, and in the world order. It's a lot like the 1930s right now. From what I know about history, this keeps happening. So if you look at tariffs, debt, rising power and current power being challenged, you can see that these changes in the orders and the systems are very, very upsetting. The way that is dealt with could lead to something much worse than a slump. He's also right here, right? As these things are dealt with during the trade war, that which comes after this might be much worse than just a crash or a slump. Because we look at who holds the most US treasuries. That's why we're really interested in how China is responding to the taxes. We also think about what might happen if China or even Japan started to sell those US treasuries. That, in my opinion, is what will make stable coins in the US really take off. It doesn't happen all at once, right? It's not like we'll get better overnight if stablecoin producers just buy up US treasuries. We're definitely thinking about what the US could do to stop Japan or even China from taking these steps. I think it would start to happen over the course of weeks, possibly even months or even years. It's not just the trade war and price war though. In fact, this has been going on for years, since 2008, which a lot of people, including myself, still think that we haven't recovered from 2008. I do not believe that we fixed anything from 2008. I believe that we excessively printed more money to make up for the loss and give people a full sense of healing. But we are also changing the order of the money over here. This is also from Dalio. Thanks a lot. Subjective views for this movie. Look it over. I'm more worried about the bigger picture. Each of these battles, I'm actually more worried about more important things that are structural and hard to deal with in terms of money, politics and geography. You know, because if you get one bad one, it feeds on itself. Ray, thanks a lot for your time today. Keep in mind that this is not a normal decline. The order of the money is changing. That is when we think about supply and demand for debt, and one person's debts or another person's assets. As I said, then the question is money, which is debt. Debt is meant to be both a way to buy things and a way to store wealth. And there have been times in history, and this is one of them, when it's not clear whether bonds are a good way to store wealth because of the abundance of money. So yeah,